Tired all the time? Is that why you clicked on this episode? Okay, let's dive right in because I don't want anybody falling asleep on me. Right? So, it's how to make progress without being tired all the time. And really, I'm going to flip that around for you in this episode. And it's a short one. I'm just a little fired up because I keep getting these questions. And inevitably, in some of our programs, there will be somebody who's saying, I'm pushing through and I'm doing the work and I'm tired all the time. So I'm not recovering. And we give this answer pretty regularly. So I'm going to do it right now again for you. And then we're going to use it and say, here's this resource. So /, flipping50.com/ tired all the time is where you're going to find this. If you've got a friend, a sister, even a daughter, because look, our 20 and 30-year-olds are not immune to this either. And we've got to help them understand. Maybe they do want to lose weight. Maybe they do want more muscle tone. Maybe, you know the list. But the answer is not pushing through if you're tired. And I'm going to explain that in this episode. I'm Deborah Atkinson. You're listening to Flipping 50, where I address your top struggles and concerns just like this one. But most of all, the hope here is that we're inspiring you to a different way of looking at aging, different expectations, raising the glass ceiling because you and I are going to be it. Nobody in their 80s and 90s, I mean, very few, let's say very few women. There are a few men, and there are some women beginning to bust the barriers. But when we see them, we all think, be honest, they're a little freakish, right? I mean, they were way ahead of their time, potentially, but that's us, right? It's like use of computers or cell phones. I mean, do you see yourself ever saying, well, I'm 85, so I'm not going to use my cell phone anymore? No, we're going to use these things, these tools that we've adapted for life. And for us, if you're already lifting weights, you're already regularly exercising, we're already way ahead of the generation that led before us, at least in my case. Now, some of you may have younger parents because potentially they had children earlier, or you are higher up in the birth order. I'm last. Now, that's the baby and that has perks. But, I had older parents to begin with. Then I'm last. So, my mom passed when she was 95. Not an example of lifting weights ever. Yeah. So, not to make it about me, but here's what we do here regularly. So, if you're brand new to it, and by the way, if you're a regular listener, if you share this, it really helps us spread the word, and it gives you, I hope, less resistance as you're talking to people and as you're living your life so that you don't have to be against that, that stream. Don't have to swim upstream to take care of yourself and feel guilty or like you're high maintenance because you're going to exercise while you have house guests. Heck no, make them exercise with you. It's boot camp at your house. But here we go. I normally share how to move, what to eat, and how to change your mindset about those things so that you can have the energy and vitality that you want, need, and deserve. So, without a break here, let's go right into how do you make progress without being tired all the time or having that be a part of your status quo? Because here's the deal. If you're like, I'm a regular exerciser, you would say, badge of honor, I'm tired all the time. Yeah, not a badge of honor, and nobody gets a brownie badge for that, by the way. So if you're tired all the time, the fastest way to make progress is to stop. Yeah, pregnant pause right there, right? For us in menopause, pregnant pause. And the deal is this. Yes, you have to stop and say, look, what I'm doing is not working. I can't do more of the same, more frequently, longer duration, and harder. And too often, that is what we do. So truth, women who are currently in midlife, and I mean you and I can collectively say that, throwing us all under the bus because it's me too. We have limited beliefs about exercise that I've had to overcome and still probably to this day do. But if any of these truths ring for you as oh gosh, yes, this is what I think. These are limiting beliefs. So listen carefully. Here's my fear. Somebody is going to jump into this podcast right now, like at 5 minutes, and they're going to hear me say this and think these are right. These are wrong. There are four of them that I'm going to stop with because there are more, but these will cover it. Number one, if you think I have to exercise because I want to lose weight, or I need to push through the exercise in spite of being tired all the time, or when I get more fit, I won't feel so tired. If I just lose the weight, then I'll have more energy. If you believe any of those things to be true, maybe the last one has just a hint of it because I do believe when you lose the weight, yes. But if you're going through those 3 steps prior to it to get there, we're in trouble. So we're going to unpack each one of those. And if you've identified one, you're going to hone in on this, but I'm going to go through them rapid fire. Number one, this is for you, by the way, if you could take a nap after exercise. If you're tired before you even begin, just most days throughout the day, you're tired. Or if you just really have peaks and valleys and maybe they're tied to caffeine, you can't get yourself going in order to exercise before noon, or you find that you're tired even following the flipping 50 formula for women in midlife, the schedule. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you don't have to be on the inner circle and in our membership or be even in a program. But what you do want to do is go to our Facebook page. That's Flipping 50 TV. Flipping 50 TV is the Facebook page. Go into media and videos. And every year, I think, maybe post-pandemic, not so much, but since about 2016, I've done a 3 or a 5 or a 1-day session between Christmas and New Year's on how you plan your exercise. Use it. I mean, it's just totally a gift right there. You can opt in and get the cheat sheet, or you can just watch it and say, I don't want anything to do with you. And that is okay too. But we need to have this conversation with more and more people, including our trainers. They need to get it. And we need them to understand not just here's the formula, we need them to understand why so that they can modify and adjust for you otherwise. So, number one, let's go through this limiting belief. Here it is. Truly, or here's the deal. You have to exercise if you want to lose weight. So if that's your limiting belief, there's some truth to it. At some point, yes, you will want to exercise, but I promise you this, it is not about because you'll burn calories. No. Here's the deal. It's because of the right choice of exercise in the dose you give it, like the number of times you exercise, the frequency in a week, say in a time span that you exercise, the duration and the intensity of that exercise. That is like if you had to take a prescription drug. They're going to give it to you in how many milligrams? That has to be specific. How often do you take it? That has to be specific, right? And then do you take it fasted or fed? I'm not going into that right now. Okay. That's a whole nother can of worms. But you want to exercise for the hormone balance it offers, not because you're a balance sheet of calories in and calories out. So if you're exercising tired, you may be preventing weight loss. If you exercise tired, you may be preventing weight loss. How's that? Well, it's related to 3 things, or 2, and the impact they have on the other. Cortisol, which will affect your adrenal glands, which will, if you keep going down that same path and you're like, I'm going to ignore that, I'm just going to work harder, you're potentially going to also affect your thyroid because that's a domino effect that occurs. And then you're in fat storage mode. You've slowed your metabolism. It's sluggish. It's not going to suddenly get going because of exercise. It's the exercise contributing to it. And there's probably other factors going on in your life, but we have to stop. So here's what happens. If you're under stress, your body or your brain actually sends a signal to say, okay, create more cortisol because it's your energy hormone. So it's like, okay, you know, that adrenaline rush, we call it that, right? And that's when cortisol is being promoted and you have to, you're late. You're missing your flight. You're going to dash from one gate to the other gate. That's adrenaline, whether you get there or not, right? Been on both ends of that one. And that's adrenaline because of cortisol. But here's the deal. If over time, here's the belief, and this is not completely resolved, proven theory. Sometimes there's a belief by certain parties that we continue to create lots of cortisol, but your body doesn't like have the receptors for them. But other times people think your body has pumped out more and more cortisol and now you've put yourself in a low. And this is actually what we tend to see in lab results. So it is true. But if you've done that, then your adrenals are also in fatigue because we've pushed them. And what's happening is not what should be happening. And if you're then exercising, what you've got to remember is a stressor. When you're particularly tired, it's a negative stressor. Let's say you are your energetic, bubbly self and you're exercising, then exercise is probably a positive kind of stress. You have it for a controlled period of time. You push yourself within reasonable limits. You have more energy afterward, and potentially you're also a little bit more relaxed afterward. That's the beauty of exercise when it's the right fit for the moment in life you're in. When you're doing anything else or getting any other results, you now have, Sherlock, a clue. What you're doing is not working. Let's fix it. Don't keep going down that same path. So it's time to have that wake up call. So, second limiting belief, I said, you need to push through exercise in spite of being tired all the time. No, 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 and no. Again, we're picking up clues. The results should be more energy for the other, 23 and a half or 23 hours of the day. And I hope you're not exercising more than that every day. Moving in addition to exercise, sure, okay, yes, let's be more movers, not sit. And I say that feeling hypocritical because I sit to record these. I need a stand-up desk, y'all. Okay, and here's the deal. So it's immediate evidence, if you're tired all the time, that you're defaulting potentially to the mental do the hard work that's needed for results that we were taught by post-depression parents, right? I mean, so first of all, it doesn't need to be hard, not as hard as we grew up thinking. And right now, not because you're old. That is not it. So in 10 or 20 years, you actually may be able to work harder than you are now if you're going through this just lots of speed bumps, meaning here's one, here's estrogen, here's DHEA, here's testosterone, here's progesterone, here's pregnenolone. These are like speed bumps. So, you got to slow down or your car's going to fall apart, right? And then you'll get through it, right? You're going to get through this intersection. But right now, you can't like skip ahead. Pushing comes with no brownie badge. In fact, digging in, you know, digging in deeper to that adrenal stress issue where you've got low cortisol, that can wreak havoc on your thyroid. So remember, it's a domino effect, and all of which the cortisol either being pumped out in great measures like you're high in cortisol or you've done that for chronically a period of time and now you're low and then it tips your thyroid. All of these are related to what is responsible in your body for your energy level, your metabolism, even ability to sleep. Ironic, right? That we can actually be super tired and exhausted and you lay down and the rest doesn't come. Third limiting belief, when I get more fit, I'll have more energy. Girlfriend, you won't get more fit if you don't have the right hormones operating and or you have the wrong ones in a perfectly imbalanced place. And if that's where you're sitting, we got to change that first. So this is a do not pass go, do not collect $200 thing. You just can't skip ahead. That would be like taking your 5-year-old, by the hand, leading him into the classroom and saying, you know, he's really sharp. And, I don't think kindergarten is the answer. Let's just skip ahead. And we're going to go right to second grade where they're reading chapter books, right? And we haven't really got the alphabet down or reading sentences down yet, and how could that be a good thing, right? Limiting belief number four. If I just lose the weight, then I'll have more energy. So just slightly different than last time because some of you don't have weight to lose. You're actually on smaller frame body and we don't want that, right? So you cannot lose the weight while your body, your hormones are in fat storage mode. And if you are either pumping out lots of cortisol or your body is needing to and wanting to pump out cortisol and can't, you're in fat storage mode. If your adrenals are overstressed and you may not be, say, gaining weight, if you're really in adrenal fatigue, often that's not necessarily happening. It's just you're feeling sluggish. Metabolism isn't doing anything. You're not hungry. You want to sleep all the time, but you're not actually feeling rested. So if your cortisol is off, too high or too low, there's no fat burning happening. So you cannot just say, I'll deal with the fatigue later because I know if I keep exercising, and here's where this may come from. I think a lot of us recall when I was exercising so regularly, I just felt so good back in my, you fill in the blank. I don't know. Was it your late 20s? Was it your early 30s? And here's for me. I was a fitness professional and have been, but back then, if I look at what was my schedule, it was crazy. It was bat ass crazy. This was before the days when we knew having a fitness instructor, teaching one or two fitness classes, every day, and then asking them, demanding actually is what we did. You can't work here unless you're willing to sub on a regular basis. When people call in sick, so some days I was in a combination of teaching for a private club as well as teaching at a university as part of my stipend for an assistantship in the Department of Kinesiology as a grad student. And that meant on some days I was teaching 4 fitness classes a day. Friends. Yep. And you know what fitness pros did at least back then? We would also, work out, like, do the treadmill or the Stairmaster, or what you fill in your blank with your favorite thing in addition. Like, and that was a mental need. That was certainly not a physical need, but we did that. And that schedule, you know, we think, oh, I was so fit. No, no, no. I mean, I may have been thin, but I was tired all the time, or because of my schedule, I had to be somewhere starting an aerobic class 3 mornings a week at 6 a.m. And I would get up early and have probably 2 Diet Cokes. Gosh, I hate admitting this. I feel like you're a priest and I'm Catholic, and that neither are true, probably. But, that's not feeling good all the time. Like I was not in such great shape. The outside, the vessel, that is so, so important for us to look at. We compliment the wrong thing all of the time. So, so very important that we're not, just saying, okay, well, I looked good. My weight was good. So I must be good, right? No. I mean, really think back, and I challenge you to say, was I really in great shape then? Or do I just remember, it was a different time, less responsibility, or different, at least, than you have now? So that's it. The 4 limiting beliefs, what you've got going on. If it's adrenal stress and you're tired all the time, you've got a sign and a symptom. You have an opportunity to wake up and say, all right now, I need to reset. I need to stop what I'm doing, take a look at why and what else is going on, Collectively, do the rest of the intake on yourself. Like, how are you sleeping? How are you pooping? How are you digesting? Are you bloated or gassy after meals? What's happening there? Do you have an appetite? Because you should, right? You should have a reasonable appetite between meals. At that last hour, say 3 to 4 hours after you've last eaten, you should be thinking, yeah, I could eat something. Not be like, I could eat the leg off of a horse right now. Just be like, yep, getting hungry. So want to start thinking about a meal, but not like hungry an hour after a meal or be hungry without wanting to eat. That's something different. That's a blood sugar, potentially a blood sugar issue. We want to take a look at that. We want to look at you have cravings. Well, are you eating adequate amounts of vegetables and antioxidants? A lot of times, cravings, sugar or salt, are an indication that you're not getting something. Your body sends us signals all the time. And so, whether you crave salt, you crave sugar, sometimes are they directly related? I know a lot of people will believe that, oh, if you crave, salt, you must, be low in X. I don't know, how directly I've seen that proven ever with anybody, but it is an opportunity to say, let's look at your diet, and if each meal at what you're eating at each of those is really pointing to there's no way you can be reaching a sufficient micronutrient level, it might be time to test your micronutrient levels. Specifically, what I like to see tested before and then taking some supplements to reach sufficiency are vitamin D, magnesium, omega 3s, B12, because it's so related to your energy levels and iron, if energy is something that you're concerned about. So, those, first of all, before you supplement, and then we go through it, not to see, are you in norms? No, no, no. To see if you are optimal level, and then make suggestions and say, do you want to comply? Do you want to start a regime? And then let's test again in 3, 4, 5 months to see, have we brought those up? And right away, energy level will probably improve if you do that. So there you have it. Okay. So for help, you know, changing defaults to limiting beliefs, like if you go there in your head all the time, is not an immediate, but hopefully this has been a little bit of a wake up. It's like, I do believe that. And hopefully it's been helpful in moving you past it. But I have two resources I'd like to share. And the first one is my TEDx talk. It's just 15 minutes, and that's it. You could just watch that. But what you'll see in it is, I share two women that I'd worked with in the past, and they're prime examples, of people who are extremely disciplined, willing to do all the work, but had limiting beliefs about, based on what was happening and the feedback they were getting, what they actually needed, and in combination with their life and lifestyle, what they needed. So beside that TEDx talk, where I'll link to in the show notes, there's a cheat sheet beside it for the simplest of 8 daily habits. And likely, don't panic. So it may be 8 you're already doing, and you don't probably have to add 8. It's probably looking at most of them you're probably doing, how you can tweak them. And then if you need more or you want more, just do it for me, just hand it to me. And you want to understand the why. The way you exercise influences your body so much differently right now than it has in the past. The 10-day Hot Not Bothered challenge is open. If you're listening to this as I release it live, we close the last day of the month in August, and we run the challenge. The days are the 1st through the 10th, and it is every day. And yes, you have to commit to it, even over Labor Day weekend. I get it. There's never a convenient time. But disease doesn't really care either. So all that is happening, the disease, the fat storage, the cortisol, the adrenal, and all of that is happening. You're going to not brush your teeth over Labor Day weekend, right? So think of it as not optional. It's not. We need to move on a regular basis. But just to be open and honest, you have access to the videos, one every day for 10 days, and then they're gone. So it is meant to help you stay accountable and hope that you do and keep your promise to yourself. So while we officially start September 1st, early birds get in for pre-programmed videos now. So I will put that link in the show notes as well. The show notes for today. And I'd love to hear from you. We'll be at flipping50.com/tired all the time. And I hope this is not true for you. But I also think potentially you have an opportunity to help someone who is feeling this and help them look at what are they doing to help themselves. So all of it comes into play. We've got to look at what are we eating? When are we exercising? When are we eating it? How are we sleeping? How are we pooping, digesting? And, what's our overall mood and energy all day? All those are clues to tell you keep on the same path or let's be changing it right away because you can and should feel good. What are you waiting for? Let's start flipping 50 today.